Thank you, God, for keeping me abstinent, one day at a time. Um, okay, so I'm Laura, compulsive eater. I weigh and measure 3 meals a day off the gray sheet with nothing in between. Abstinence is the most important thing in my life today, and I don't, no matter what, no matter what, no matter what, by the grace of God in this fellowship. And my abstinence date is December 31st, 1997. And for that, I am so grateful and blessed. And I don't take it for granted, although I guess sometimes I do, and I really like shouldn't. I just feel like it's like the best gift. And when I first got on the meeting, I was I just felt so excited, and now I don't feel sad. I guess I'm feeling sad, but like I'm feeling emotional, like, wow, wow, I don't eat no matter what. Like I'm a compulsive overeater who ate no matter what. You know, I didn't really plan what I wanted to say, so I was like, oh, I don't know if I should be taped, but I guess, what it was like, and I want to keep in mind the newcomer because there are several newcomers here. Okay, what it was like was um one, like they say in AA, one was too many and 1,000 never enough. So I came to the program and I learned that I have a threefold disease: a physical allergy, a mental obsession, and a spiritual sickness. And this is the food program. We'll talk about the food. I have, a God, what are they called? A God, whatever, a God hole inside of me. I don't know exactly whatever, but like that was empty, and I needed spirituality, but I tried to fill it with so many other things. And here I'll say with food. I knew as a child I had a problem with sugar. Like I knew I either ate it or I didn't eat it. There was no like, I have an almost 10-year-old son who is like a miracle of this program. And like I find stuff around the house, like half eaten. I'm like, why didn't he finish this? What's his deal? He doesn't take after me, but like whenever I hear people lead and I hear them talk about sneaking, I'm like, oh, that's such a compulsive eater. Like, I don't know, like a red alert for me. I snuck. I remember sneaking into the house. I just ate to fill a void. I ate to fill an emotional void, and I ate to feel spiritual void. And the truth is, like, I ate when it felt as though there was no more room inside of me, and I was still looking for more. Um, so that's really what it was like. My dad, um, God bless his soul, he passed away a little more than a year ago. He totally was able to tell, like, he diagnosed my disease. He's like, Laura, but he like didn't have, he's like, is all what you ever think about is eating? And it was all I ever thought about. And really, I'm not exaggerating. I mean, maybe there were like moments in the day that I was thinking of, well, thinking, not maybe not thinking about food, but thinking about myself and poor me and whatever. But I really thought about food a lot of the time, and like breakfast, lunch, dinner, dinner, breakfast. And it was nonstop, and it was a vicious cycle. And I got sober before I got into AA, and I'm only saying that to say that I couldn't talk fast enough to keep up with what was going on in my head. Like I felt like I was like running after like my thoughts. And so that's what it was like. Oh, so my dad said, why don't you just eat 3 moderate meals? Well, if I could just eat 3 moderate meals, I would not be here at 10:15 or 10:14 on a Thursday night when I just flew back from America yesterday. I live in Israel, and like I would really want to be in bed right now. Um, and I just know no matter what, I have to share this for me is a solution. So that's what it was like. Once I started, I couldn't stop. This was like some of the conversation that would go in my head. Okay, I'll have one, I'll have two, I'll have three. Okay, four. Oh no, okay, five. Okay, six is an even number. I'll finish the row. I'll finish. Thank you, Nancy. I'll finish the box. I'll start on Monday. And for a bunch of years, I haven't had that conversation. And that's amazing. So that's what it was like. Um, oh, also, I base my self-worth. I got to Gray Sheet and they told me this is not a moral issue. And I didn't even know what that meant, but I'm like, oh, okay. But like, what did it mean? Like, it's not like that's how I used to base my worthiness. Like, if I followed the diet, I was good. And if I didn't follow the diet, I was bad. Like, that's all there was to me. That's all I thought there was to me. That's how I got my self-worth. If I followed the diet, if I ate less than 1,200 calories, if I ate this, if I didn't eat that, wow, it was like a lot. It's exhausting. So that's what it was like. What happened was um I graduated from college. All my friends seemed to be moving on and like getting jobs and all these things. And the truth was, I was still living with my parents in Cleveland, Ohio. And like I lived really a fantasy life. And like when I say that, like when I hear people say about fantasy, I get like, oh, that sounds cool. Mine was not like that great. Mine was like, oh, when, like, it wasn't even like exotic. It was just like, oh, when I get married or when this, it was, it just, I wasn't living. What it was like, what happened. So I was, whatever, I went to Jewish family service. I was seeing this lady and she said, okay, so next week we're going to do a drug inventory test. We had been talking, well, she brought it up a couple of times and I'm like, what is she talking about? I'm just a nice Jewish girl. What kind of drug inventory? So, and I thought if I didn't talk about it, because that's like what my family does or doesn't do, like we don't exactly talk about things, that it would go away. And she would just like shut up. But then she said, okay, next week we're doing the drug inventory. I passed with flying colors, apparently. And I went to AA and then I thought I would do not Gray Sheet. I got involved in OA. And I guess I thought I would do that by like I just wanted to get it through osmosis. I didn't want to have to take action. And I didn't want to, the truth is I wasn't ready to stop eating. And so whatever, I quit drinking, I gained 25 more pounds. Now I'm over 200 pounds and I'm 5'5". So yeah, I was pretty heavy. And so that's what it like. What happened? So eventually through AA, I started learning more about my religion. After my first year of sobriety, I came to Israel. And then I was learning about God and stuff. And at this point, I still didn't, I didn't really know about, I might have known about Gracie, but I was so on the periphery. And I remember I got involved more in OA. And, the first meeting, I'll tell you, when I was in Cleveland, I went to, it was a bunch of heavy people sitting around. And I was thinking, this is what I do in my bedroom. Why do I have to schlep out of the house? There was no Zoom then or anything. Like, why do I have to go to a meeting? This is what I do. I didn't hear a solution. And okay, so whatever. So I go to Israel. I'm in AA. I go to OA. I tried some other programs and since I became so religious, I was like, I cannot weigh and measure on my Sabbath. Now, if that was true, I could have weighed and measured before the Sabbath, but it wasn't about being so holy. It was about I wanted to eat, and I wanted to eat more than I wanted to be abstinent. And so, I don't know, back and forth. Finally, on December 31st, 1997, I um I was in Israel and I went to a restaurant. I was only going to have like and in the program I was doing, I guess in how whatever I was doing, you could measure. You could eyeball when you go to restaurants. So I eyeballed my 2 cups of vegetables and 4 ounces of protein. And I don't know, I thought 4 slices of stuff we don't eat would be like an appropriate portion for the meal. And I left having like 8 to 12. I was up and down with that extra, like, I forgot something. So before I got to Gray Sheet, I it was in 96, I knew I had to do Gray Sheet. Thank you. So 5 minutes. Does that mean I did 10 minutes already? I'm so slow. Okay. All right. So I'll speed it up. So I was in Israel. For a year, I think I was praying for the willingness to be willing to be willing to be abstinent. I knew Gray Sheet was for me, but I was horrified. I had a list of fears. Like that is my life based on fear. Like what happens when I get married and what happens, you know, whatever what my fears were. And oh gosh. All right, let me focus. So my friend said before I got to Grace, the year before, she said just do a year of investigative service or something. So I was like, whatever that meant. I like was checking out Grace Sheet, and at that time I was praying for the willingness to be willing. And so after this episode in the restaurant, I called my friend, and I'm like, because I knew if I didn't do it, if I got back into the sugar, I was gonna die. I knew I was so scared. So I called her, I committed my food, and then I'm like, then I got all theatrical. I'm like, oh, but I can't do this forever. What if I can't? She's like, Laura, it's a 1 day at a time program. It's just for today. And oh, this is the last before whatever. I'm sorry, I'm going back and forth. But I just remember riding around in Israel on the buses at that time, and in the doctor's opinion, I think XXX, whatever he says on the left hand side, the only thing we have to suggest is entire abstinence. And whenever I say that, I always feel like I could really stop talking. Like, what else is there to say? Hello. The only thing we have to suggest is entire abstinence. I can't manipulate it. I can't, oh, like I remember in one program, if I went to a dietitian, I could get a snack between breakfast and lunch. Who wouldn't pay the money to do that? I mean, that's what I was thinking anyways. So the bottom line is I got to Gray Sheet, I weigh and measure. I have had no matter what, some like big, some not so big, some seem like they're so big. I happened to get married after many years of dating. Gray Sheet saved my life. Like I just feel like Gray Sheet to me is a protection of my physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Um, yeah, I got married in Gray Sheet. It was a very big gift. I had a son at almost 47, and he was, thank God, healthy. He is healthy. Um, wow. For the newcomer, we get better, and I do believe it has gotten easier. When I first got abstinent, I would walk into the kitchen and I feel like I was having like a mental breakdown, like, oh no, here we go again. I don't, that does, it's not like that today. I walk into the kitchen, I do what I got to do, and I'm done. It's, like after 25 years, I got a new, or 24 years, I don't know, whatever. I got a new sponsor, and I was telling her something. She's like, oh, we don't do that. And I was like, oh, we do. But I didn't say that. And you know what? I don't do that anymore. My husband said, you should get a new sponsor. And I'm like, no, that's what we do. Like, what am I gonna I feel like I'm blessed that I'm protected from the food. And whether it's this or whether it's that, if she says no, I don't do it. And 1 minute. Right now, um, like right now, like my country's in war and I'm not eating no matter what. COVID prepared me for this. I mean, I don't know if it prepared me, but in terms of the food, it prepared me. So, like, when it happened, like, I had a gray sheet friend at my house. We went into the bomb shelter. I felt like, okay, it was okay. She was there the next, day after the Sabbath. We went shopping for what we needed to get. And what am I going to do? Um, I'm abstinent. I'm grateful. there's so much to say. I hope I said something to help someone, and I don't need no matter what. Thank you. Thank you for asking me, Leila.